Welcome to the Grit and Grain podcast, where we explore and celebrate the craft beer industry, community, and history in Tacoma, Washington, and surrounding Pacific Northwest areas. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let's get to it. Happy fucking hump day, nerds.
You said it anyway.
Yeah, I sure did. I don't care. Welcome to the Grit and Grain podcast. Coming to you guys from the Parkway Tavern in Tacoma, Washington. My name is Matt McLaren, and Ron Swarner's back this week.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How about you?
Very good.
Good.
I hope you had a wonderful trip.
It was a lot of monsoons.
Okay, good. So you're thirsty?
Yeah.
Good. And then, what's up, Sean?
Hi.
How are you, man?
How you doing, handsome peoples?
Good. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. I know it's Friday. It's not Hump Day. We're recording this on Hump Day, so ignore that. I just told Sean I would say it. So we have an awesome guest today, and it's somebody that when Sean brought this person up, I was super excited to talk to her about all sorts of things. Bethany, thank you so much for hanging out.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Totally. Yeah, I don't know. We all probably have 100 questions, but before we get to all of that, what are you drinking?
Sean, what am I drinking?
The Chuckanut steam beer.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. There's a Bayern on too, Pilsner. The steam beer, yes. And
Awesome.
It is delicious, yeah. I thought steam beer was...
Trademarked?
Yeah.
But I can write out on the board and I can say it.
I see.
It is the Cascadian Common Ale,
Okay,
to be more specific.
got it.
But
Yeah.
it's a personal thing
It's-
for me. Like,
yeah.
A vendetta
yeah, something like that.
against trademarking beer styles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fucking
Yeah,
A,
that's
it's true.
fucking fair. Sean, what do you got, man?
So the previously talked about Machine House historical cask series. I've got the Albany.
Me too. I think
It's
there's
a-
3 of us drinking that right now.
Yeah.
Actually, 4, counting Doug.
It's a wonderful mild.
Delish.
It's fucking delicious. And then I've got some 2018 Pelican Mother of All Storms barley wine, which always makes me think of one of your former coworkers, Mr. Peter Brown. Yep. And Dan. So yeah, it's perfect. And a little ferment dry stout too, triple fisting.
Nice. Good call. Ron, what's in the pale beer glass?
Moonraker's Simcoe Strata Double Crush. It's tasting delicious. Yeah.
Beer's amazing.
It's delish.
I had a lot of that in the last
Yeah.
week or so. I'm also drinking the Machine House. If you guys missed it last week, Machine House did a collab with Rob Pattison, who's a beer historian. He's written all sorts of wonderful things about beer from all over the world, and they kind of resurrected these like 100-year-old published recipes that were previously lost, and it's a really cool collaboration. But they are on tap on the cask engine at the Parkway right now, or at least one of them. But the other one will follow.
The other one will be here soon. We got
But yeah, keep an eye out for these. It's really cool, and they're really classic styles, and it's like we've kind of gushed about milds on this podcast before, but they're amazing, and this is a great one. Speaking of traditional beer styles, that's what we want to talk to you about, or at least a chunk of that. But can you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so right now I own a draft line cleaning company called the Funk Busters. So I'm out there cleaning lines around Tacoma, keeping the beer tasting good.
It's a wonderful name for a line cleaning business, by the way.
Yep.
Thank you.
Just real quick,
Nailed
props
it.
for that.
Chow down.
Thanks. And before that, I was a brewer for about 10 years. So I've been, I think, in the Tacoma area about 8 years brewing. And then I was in Seattle as well. So started at the Ram in 2010 and was there for about 4 or 5 years, and then moved on to Pacific Brewing and Malting, which has since closed, sadly. And then, yeah, I've been doing the line cleaning kind of through COVID. We started that whole thing, and just rolling with that business right now.
Bethany, what year was it when you went from boot scootin' boogie to pink boot scootin' boogie?
I thought that might come up.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to be a country line dancing DJ.
What?
And
What?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
At good old Steel Creek here in Tacoma. And,
of course.
Then before that, in my 20s, I was at Dakota's, which is no longer there, in Kent. So, yeah, I have line dancing in my background, and I'm DJing, and yeah, what was the
Line
question
dancing
about it?
all the way to
How did
line
I-
What
cleaning.
year? What year did you start with the Ram?
Gosh, 2010
Okay.
at the Ram up in Seattle, at Northgate. I wanted to work in a brewery. Actually had very, very little home brewing experience. I just thought it'd be fun to work in a brewery. Got really into craft beer, got passionate about going to breweries, tasting beer, learning how it's made. Thought it would be kind of a cool job to work in a brewery. It's a romantic thing, working in a brewery. So I got my foot in the door at the Ram. I was like, I want to work in the brewery. Do you guys have any spots open? And this is at Northgate. And they're like, no, but we need a host really bad. Do you have hosting or serving experience? And I was like, yeah, sure. So hosted for so long. Be nice to hosts if you're ever in a restaurant. You're just dealing with like such hangry people, individuals. It's not a fun job. Anyway, so finally, after a while doing serving and hosting at the Ram, something did open up at the brewery in the University Village Ram. And they asked if I still wanted to do that, and I said yes. Get me out of front of the house. I want to make the beer. So learned everything I know pretty much from Scott, who was the head brewer at the University Village Ram, and he had awesome training, I think, from a lady who worked at Pike before that. So I feel fortunate. I got trained really well, which, yeah.
What? Okay, I have a question about that. So, like the Ram, BJ's, like kind of big sort of like chain restaurants that also kind of incorporate beer into their stuff. Like, do you feel like that people, even in the industry, misunderstand things about breweries that are in big chains like that? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah. A lot of people would like see me back there working in my boots and, sweating, and they're like, "Oh, are these tanks real?" I'm like, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're actually
You guys
brewing
really
beer.
make beer here?
Yeah, so a lot of people didn't know. We still don't know,
Yeah.
maybe, that they brew beer. Yeah, they focus on the food a lot, and
It's also been really talented people to come like in and out of Ram breweries.
Yeah.
There's actually like a lot of industry skill that has like contributed to their beers.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is another big misconception.
You thinking Bill Jenkins and Kevin Forehand? Who are you thinking? Yeah.
Well, I mean, like those guys, and then who's at the Ram in Tacoma?
Who? The Ram in Tacoma?
Yeah.
Waterfront?
Greer.
Right?
Greer. I kind of know him.
I got a good, bigger company story. Derek from BJ's, he was one of the E9 friends, and he would come down, and so they had in order for him to retain his job, he was encouraged to medal at GABF. And when things got a little tight on the style guidelines, like he started a sour beer program.
Whoa.
Long time ago.
Whoa. Wow.
And so he would medal for sour beers that they would never fucking sell.
That's
Ever.
crazy.
They'd just sit in the warehouse, go down the drain, drink them with friends. He would bring growlers up for Shane and I. But yeah, Coors too. Coors has had a sour beer program for fucking ever. And a good
I
one.
knew that.
Yeah.
You can get it at where? Where do you get those?
It's a research facility. I think it's outside of Golden.
Yeah.
And again, like, I don't think they sell any. I think if you went and knocked on the door, you'd get a little tour and get to pull some nails. But
It'd be fun.
but like forever. I mean, it's crazy too. Like how much research the big breweries, as much as we like, they spend a lot of money on figuring out as much as they can. To a lot of our benefits
I
later.
know, right? Yeah, later.
But yeah, the BJ story was interesting. Like there's
BJ
the
still
bigger
wins
places.
a lot of medals at like a lot of competitions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like another example of like really good brewers working at these places that like, you know, people in the community and industry might not necessarily understand that like there's a lot of skill in the brew house in places like the Ram, and you just sometimes it pays to like go visit those spots, try the beer, and like if somebody's doing good work there, you're gonna enjoy what you're drinking.
Yeah.
Plus, you can learn and take it elsewhere if you're a brewer trying to get in. That's like awesome that that you went from a host to like brewer. I think it's an awesome transition.
Yeah, they had a lot of faith in me. I was so green. So thanks to everyone if you're listening. Yeah, they did. They took a big chance, and it was awesome. I worked hard and moved my way up in the company. So
That's great.
Yep.
Probably should explain who Greer is.
Greer
I
is
thought it was being funny.
Greer is my partner and also part of the line cleaning business. And
Also a wonderful beer maker.
is also a wonderful beer maker. Yeah, he was at Odd Otter for a long time and now at the Waterfront Ram.
Yeah.
Nice.
Another good example.
Super brewing power couple.
I know,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
So you worked at the Ram for how many years?
I think about 4. So I was up in Seattle for about 3 and then at the Puyallup South Hill Ram as the head brewer for 1.
Okay.
About 1.
Speaking of the power brewing duo, during COVID, they were my drinking buddies. That's where I drank for 2 years in their living room. And Greer and I quickly learned, and I'm sure Greer knew this, but Bethany had a little bit better nose than we did. We could not, many times couldn't get what you got out of beer. And I don't know if I picked my nose too much when I was a kid, but you have an amazing palate and an amazing nose. And how did you get it?
Thank you. I've been through quite a bit of training. I took Trevor Nickel and Casey's class when it was at E9. So that would have been, 2015 or
That was their
2016.
BJCP class, right?
BJCP certification class. So it was basically like a preparatory class to then go and take the test. So I took that actually 2 years in a row. I think I took the test after the first year and just wanted to do it again the second time because it's fun. But yeah, I'm a national certified BJCP judge. And I have spent a lot of time drinking craft beer and a lot of different, bottle shares and drinking with people that also have very good palates. And I don't know.
It's like a muscle.
I really enjoy it. I love picking out the flavors in beer and teaching other people about it too, like how to taste beer.
Yep.
That it's not just,
It's a muscle. I think it's another kind of like funny misconception is like, oh, like I just don't, I don't have the palate for that, or I don't have the nose for that. Most of us didn't. Like, it's just like you have to work at it. I actually did a beer tour around Tacoma this weekend for a group donated to Tacoma Arts Live for a charity auction that they were doing. And the first bit of it was like sensory training. And so I literally just put small ramekins of like lemon peel and like grapefruit flesh and peppercorn and like 15 different little cups, and was like, this is how you do sensory training. Like, if you can familiarize yourself with these ingredients, you'll be able to pick out the compounds that align with them when you smell them in a beer. And that's really what it takes, is just a lot of experience and working the muscle. And that's your nose and your tongue are muscles. And yeah, it just takes a long time. Nobody's really like super gifted.
Yeah, I've also done those fault kits probably 3 or 4 times in my career, which is a little laboratory box of the faults you get in beer. So you get the diacetyl vial and the butyric acid vial, and it's vile. It's terrible.
Dude, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Makes me want to throw up.
Yeah,
So
and it's
bad.
usually in Coors Light or some sort of light beer.
Light
So
is perfect for that. Yep.
I've done those kits quite a few times.
Did you ever? Okay, here's a random question. So I've done them too, and I never really. So like when I was studying for Cicerone, especially advanced Cicerone, like there's 2 kits, and there's 12 different kits. And for anybody who doesn't know, we're talking about like small vials of like powdered flavor compounds that you put into beer, but you get enough for like a group of like 30 people. And so I don't know if you did it with 30 people, but like, were you like me and like sitting there literally with a scale and a razor blade cutting it up, like trying to like divvy it out so that you could do like 6 tastings of the same off flavor?
No, yeah.
That's how I did it. And I looked real sus.
We did it at the BJCP class that Trevor taught. So
Okay.
they dosed it all out into pitchers. So I
just
think
do
we
that
had the
next
correct doses.
I was like in my house, like cutting it up. Like, there's no way this doesn't look just like drugs.
Yeah.
Mom
yeah.
pops in for the surprise
Yeah,
visit.
I swear it's diacetyl.
You're watching Less Than
Just
Zero.
acetyl.
Still sounds bad.
I know.
Like, you're still going to rehab for diacetyl.
I know.
Mom doesn't. She's not going to buy that.
I know.
Yeah. What brought you to Pacific? How'd you get that gig?
So I had known Steve. I knew him when he was, trying to get Pacific off the ground. I think I met him at a collaboration, I think it was a Tacoma Beer Week collaboration with the Black Belgian IPA or something.
about that.
That's Greer was
We
saying
just
that.
talked about that.
So yeah, I was part of that, and so was Steve. His brewery wasn't open yet, but I met him there, and we must have got each other's numbers. And when I was looking to move on from the Ram, I wanted to go somewhere, a brand new brewery. It was much more romantic than the Ram. I kind of jokingly asked him, "Are you hiring? I know you just opened." It was about 2 months after he opened. So went and saw him at the grand opening and everything. And he was making great beer. It was such a fun atmosphere there at the grand openings. And so I asked him.
Resurrection of like a historical Tacoma
Yes.
brand. Like, it's so awesome.
Yeah. And he was like, I will find a place for you in here. So he brought me on happily, and I worked in the tap room a little bit, and then as his assistant for a little while too. And yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Prairie Line. Was that yours?
That was a Steve recipe. Yeah, he had all the flagship recipes. Yeah.
Because that
I
was
love the Prairie Line. I miss it.
Parkway Blind IPA Challenge winner
Yes.
year 3, I think that we did it.
2007.
7.
Damn, I didn't
Yeah. That year.
Exactly.
Good hit, man.
I think
Nailed it.
I have the blurry photos to prove it. Too.
I think I drank the cup. Maybe we all drank the cup.
No, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, as was the tradition.
Yeah, that was that group of people. I mean, I can't stress enough. They were like family. It was really sad to have them kind of have everything break away. Really love all them.
Ugh. Did you do anything at Pacific that you were like particularly proud of? Was there anything that came out of your work specifically that you were like, fuck, this is exactly what I left my last job for. This is what I wanted to do.
I got really awesome feedback on the malt liquor that I brewed. I call it Old Tacoma 800,
Yeah.
and people still are like, "That was my favorite beer you brewed." It wasn't my
good
favorite
stamp, dude.
necessarily. I had kind of a unique one too. The Brute IPAs are kind of still hanging around sometimes, and I made one with strawberries, and it was very strawberry champagne like,
I
and I had a lot of
that.
people
Yeah,
like that one
yeah.
too. And just a variety of IPAs. But yeah, I guess those two kind of stand out.
Did you
as
brew a
fun.
German IPA?
Oh yeah. Oh, that was good too.
That was
yeah.
good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
What's
a
a
bunch
German
of
IPA?
so I brewed it with a bunch of those super high alpha acid hops. Polaris.
Ah.
Yes. Super crazy, like 22 alpha acid, 22% alpha acid hops, and I mean some other German hops too as well. But yeah, I just made like a West Coast IPA, but with all German hops and German malts, and
Cool.
it was awesome. Yeah, it tasted so good. It was one of my
Do you want to talk
favorites.
about Lunagate,
About what?
your dog, in the
Oh,
brewery, and all the press he got?
about what?
Remember when the health department came?
Oh,
Fucking Ron, Jesus. Bringing up old shit.
I mean, yeah, I had a little brewery dog, still have her, Luna, and she came to the brewery all the time, and the health department busted us. And then they started busting every other tap room in Tacoma.
Yeah.
It's like this sent this weird ripple of like, oh no, just dogs are not allowed in tap rooms anymore. And it was crap. And I thought a lot about having a petition put together. I never did it, but they told us we could have had dogs in there if we wanted to use plastic cups. And I was like, that's
What?
weird. Yeah, because there's something with the dishwasher that I don't know. They have strange rules
Yeah, it's
about a lot
No,
of things.
all of their rules make perfect sense.
They're all keeping us healthy.
Every single one.
Yes.
They're all keeping us so healthy.
Love you guys, health department. Totally know what you're doing
please don't visit.
all the time.
Matt asked that
Everything's
question,
cool
by
here.
the way, not me.
Right?
We just cheers
me
in our
for
plastic cups. Just can't hear it. That's rough too, because I mean, I know animals in breweries, like especially cats, right? Like brewing cats. Like you want to keep the rats out of your grain, which you
Absolutely.
have piles of. It's nice to have.
It's not as much of a problem anymore, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mongo, Port Brewing, one of my favoriteest IPAs. It's named after their brewing cat.
Oh, I did
brewery
not
cat.
know that. Damn it.
Yeah,
All
Mongo
right. Well, that's a good
keeps the rats away.
good contemporary example.
Every brewery, every brewery should have a brewery dog and a brewery cat.
I agree wholeheartedly. We had Trevor's Bazan was kind of our brewery dog mascot. Fucking
Love
he was-
Bazan.
So Trevor and Laura's dog Bazan is like a white golden retriever,
Yeah.
and he was born a tripod. And so he came in the E9 brewery when he was just a puppy, and like the most freaking cuddliest, fluffiest, adorable fucking thing ever. Ever. Good luck the rest of you dogs. Like, there's no,
Because it's the
there's
best
no
one.
way.
We found the
He's
best, one.
you know?
There's the best one.
They just got another dog, and I make sure to tell them every time I see him, like, you're not going to be as good.
Sad.
No, I'm not trying to put him down. I just want, the expectations.
Realistic
Yeah,
expectations.
it's like, you're not going to grow up to be this
Walter,
awesome.
you're cool
Parenting
too.
advice from Sean.
Walter,
Jackson.
you're okay. Sorry. Yeah.
So how's Fern?
Fern's great. She is Greer and I's 3-year-old daughter, and she's starting preschool soon. It's crazy.
Yeah.
She's doing great.
I was curious, and I've actually always wanted to ask you this. Like, your focus has always been on like traditional stuff, or at least twists on like a lot of traditional stuff. Do you have like a particularly favorite style that you like to brew?
Traditionally, you just mean like
Like you,
IPAs,
you've done a lot
the
of, like-
porters.
yeah, like your hazies at the last place that we all drank your beer were wonderful, but I know we'll get into it. But yeah, like you seem to have an affinity for stuff that is like particularly European inspired and like based on like old world kind of traditional beer practices. And I was wondering if that was like an affinity that you like stick to legit, or like do you have a separate kind of favorite style that you like to dig into?
It's a good question. I haven't thought about it like that before. I guess I'm along the lines of if it's not broken, don't, or, it's not broken, don't fix it. Like
Sure.
Those were and are great beers, great recipes. I guess I'm kind of I'm for a simple beer. It doesn't need to have 18 different malts and tons of different hops. So, what'd you ask? What's my favorite
If you have like a particularly favorite style.
style?
Yeah.
Pilsners, probably, and IPAs.
Yeah.
What about hazies?
No.
It's a shame because you're good at it.
So hazies. I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of drinking them. I will brew them all day long if that's what sells, and that's fine. But yeah, no, I like my beer on the clear side for the most part. And I don't know. That's just
And simpler, like you said.
and simpler, I guess. Yeah.
It's all right. It's a good answer.
The clarity in IPAs is getting rough, huh? Yeah, I mean, just the new products I kind of talked about, like just tend to leave haze in IPAs.
And
the
every
call-
new exciting thing is like
I'm hearing a lot of
of
murky,
the
murky IPAs.
what?
The murky IPAs ended up on a lot of labels now.
No, it's
Instead of
not.
hazy. Yeah.
I've seen it.
Really?
Pure Brewing from San Diego called theirs murky.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that. I also feel I'm I'm like embarrassed that I haven't seen that yet because my whole job is to like stay up on that. But I think I would have blinded myself to something that said murky IPA on it.
Doesn't sound quite as appealing.
No, it doesn't.
it doesn't.
It sounds like
It smells like
swamp water.
water. Yeah, swamp water, mud water.
Oh well, these kids. I know. Well, we all have a few more questions, of course. But we're going to take a super quick break, but we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for hanging out. As always, want to give a quick shout out to Channel 253. Doug, our wonderful producer, is Channel 253, along with his partner Eric, and they run a wonderful collection of local podcasts hosted by community members and community leaders, and they are covering all of the topics that you should or would find important if you're trying to stay connected to Tacoma as a city and as a community. And if you do want to stay connected, it's a great place to do it. So you can support those guys by going to channel253.com/membership. All right. So we have more questions, but Ron just poured a really delicious beer. What did you just pour us?
Blue Mountain Barrel House from Afton, Virginia.
Nope,
It's
not
a
real.
place.
It's not real.
It says it on the bottle. It's called Dark Hollow, and it is from where the woods are deep, the mountains are bold, and the great beer flows like wine. No, it says through the land, but I love Dumb and Dumber.
Okay. I was like, this is Miller. This is Miller. I don't like that commercial. This is delicious.
Yeah,
This
it is
very
very,
nice.
very nice.
Chocolatey.
So we were dancing around it a little bit in the first half, and Ryan tried to allude to it, and I cut him off. But we wanted to ask about your last job on the beer making side of this industry. What can you tell us about it?
So Greer and I were contract brewing down at the Pacific Spot once they closed down. We had a lot of time on our hands with COVID. We both didn't really have jobs. So actually we wanted to start home brewing in our garage, and we're like, why don't we see if we can just go use the brewery to home brew? Big drains and hoses and everything. So we started doing that, and then it quickly turned into, let's make this a brewery again. Let's use this equipment. Maybe we can find some people to contract brew around the area until we can get some investors together to start our own brewery. So we did that for a while, contract brewing. We tried to get a team of people together to begin another brewery there. Nothing ever quite formed with that until we had someone approach us about it. And so this would-be business partner would provide the financial backing to begin another brewery there. And we called it Mother Fern Brewing. So it was down in the old Pacific Spot. Greer and I were crazy working down there for months, trying to get this place open and running, and brand new marketing, logos, taproom decoration on top of all the beers and everything. I have so many pictures of Fern sleeping, our daughter Fern, sleeping on, taking naps on pallets of grain bags and stuff. We were there all the time.
That is
working.
the grit that this industry takes sometimes.
And spending
Yes.
spending your own money too.
Yes,
Yes.
also that. Yeah, starting a brewery, no one looks very healthy, it seems like.
Ooh, that is fucking facts.
Takes years.
Damn.
Takes years off your life. So
Yeah, it does.
we got the doors open, and it was really exciting and fun. We didn't quite see eye to eye with our business partners as far as how to operate a brewery and where the money should be spent. And we kind of abruptly got an email saying that we are terminated as employees. So basically not getting paid anymore. And that was both of our jobs. we couldn't not work, not get paid. So we were kind of out of jobs.
Despite you guys being like the concept and the branding and the actual production.
Correct.
And you're brewing,
Named after your daughter.
brewing and distributing, and everybody loving the beer.
Correct.
Also,
Yes.
Correct. So, we kind of got forced out, and it was pretty devastating. There's a little bit of day drinking happening for a little while.
That would fucking do it.
Multi-day drinking.
Yeah.
It was sad, but we cut our losses and we're better off now. But yeah, we hope to do a brewery thing again someday. We are kind of biding our time a little bit. Hopefully, a great opportunity comes up, and we will not make the same mistakes again. We'll make sure it is legitimately a beautiful opportunity for us to jump at it.
Just so you know, we're all waiting for that too. Like,
Thanks.
Yes.
we all talk about it all the fucking time. Just from somebody who was like an outsider perspective, like it was your guys' project down there was a huge deal for Tacoma.
Yep.
And for not, I don't want to be up your butt too much about it, but like we were all fucking there all the time, like after you opened, and your Schwartz beer that you had was like just the most insane world class like black lager that I've had in many years, and I had a lot of them, and when a lot of this, like we've talked about this sort of thing on the podcast a little bit in the past, but like a lot of breweries in Tacoma, and Tacoma in general has had a complicated history in the beer world, despite it having such a rich history in the beer world overall, dating back to the 1880s, and beer being kind of like this innate chunk of the Tacoma culture. But somehow, a lot of like the progression of the industry in this area gets stifled, and it is often by complicated relationships with business owners. Mm-hmm. And this is like a tragic and like shitty recent example of that exact thing. Yep. And so we all kind of saw it as like, God, this is still happening. Like, and then we talked to Sean and Shane on the first episode about, them having an ownership change, and they kind of supported those guys and let them do what they're doing. And, the biggest brewery in Tacoma kind of came out of, ownership being supportive of the creative efforts of their product makers. Mm-hmm. And I hope that when you guys do have a new opportunity, it's something more like that.
What did you do with all those ferns that you bought with your own money? All over the place.
They're in our living room.
I was going to say they're in your house.
And our dining room. They look very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get to see them a lot. Yeah. Well, yeah.
The community is grateful for the funk busting, though. That the most underappreciated job in the industry.
Dude, that's
the funk busting.
For damn sure.
Is
funk
draft
busting.
cleaning.
Yeah.
I think one of the, there's draft systems everywhere, and if you talk to any, a lot of restaurant and bar owners, like their knowledge of a system that produces or loses so much money for them.
Yep.
It's this unknown, mysterious anomaly, and
I don't know how it works. So we just have these guys that come in. And
we just have these guys, and they whatever, and it's really unfortunate, but it's nice to have great folks in the community.
Yes.
Because there's a big difference in good, clean beer. It's just everyone's benefit, right? It's the brewery's benefit, the establishment. It's I got to do the thing that you kids do, and it's funny sometimes. One of the easiest sells is, and there's Manny's is unfiltered, right? So if you don't get your lines cleaned, like Manny's isn't going to taste like Manny's for very long. And that's one of the things that Doug Redco used to do.
Yeah,
being the draft wizard for Columbia, be like, "Oh, this keg's bad," and Doug would go in and he would pour off draft, and then he would go down and take his party pump and pour straight off the keg and be like, "Here you go." Like,
that's so smart.
This is fucking garbage.
Fucking Doug, man.
Because you don't get your lines clean. And
dude, for
I
anybody,
think in California it's a state law. Like,
Oh,
you
yes.
have to.
Yep.
And
For anybody not familiar, like line cleaning ends up being kind of complicated because it can take a long time, and you can't really serve a lot of beer while you're cleaning lines or any.
Yeah.
And so you have to do it outside of operating hours for most places that you do it for. Mm-hmm. And if a bar is open from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m., there's not a ton of time in between that to clean the 300 like bars and tap rooms lines that need that job done. So it's actually really complicated and like can be a pain in the ass to like schedule out, and places that are doing it right are doing it twice a month for the most part, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just again, like Sean said, a very underappreciated chunk of this industry.
And with
with
the funk busters, it's two head brewers cleaning your lines.
Yeah.
So they know the ins and outs of it.
Well,
Yeah.
there's some shady shit in this industry too. We talk about old drivers. Like when I worked at The Rock, we had a company come in and basically they would just flush it with water, and instead of like removing our faucets and scrubbing them, like they would just fucking Dremel them.
What?
So it got to the point where like you would close your tap, but nothing was actually seating right. So
No, hell no.
it would just kind of leak out beer.
Yeah.
Until you replace the faucet.
I've heard of some interesting practices, yes,
Oh,
with
yeah.
the other line cleaning companies.
How did you just
Yeah.
clean 20 taps in that many minutes?
Mm-hmm.
That's not possible.
Right.
Really
Yeah.
isn't.
Yeah.
And it's another one of those things too. A lot of people like give people these keys. Like, here's the keys, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wee hours of the day, but no one actually fucking is checking anybody's work.
No.
Correct, yeah.
And if you sneak in, it's unbelievable what you'll find happening while your lines are being cleaned.
Ron sounds like he's
Not with us.
with this.
with other
I'm so
companies.
thankful for the
Other
Funkbusters.
companies, yeah.
Yeah.
Ron, that sounds like a fuck up story.
I didn't fuck up.
Yeah, it's a satisfying job for sure. It's not very appreciated. I mean,
thankless.
It's thankless.
Yep.
Yeah. So I get
Thank
done
your
and I'm
fucking
like,
line cleaners,
yay.
guys.
Sure.
clean faucets, clean couplers, clean lines.
Clean floors, too.
But yes, yeah, we tidy up when we're finished. It's a messy job. It's a messy job. So yeah, there's a lot of towels we go through, and
Yep.
And they play funk while they do it, which is awesome.
yep, 100% of the time.
Truly the Lord's work, for sure.
Get down
we
on
do
it.
love
That totally
funk.
doesn't get obnoxious, I'm sure.
No.
But yeah, I think, all those fault kits I did, it was an easy, Greer and I go out to bars and drink what should be a Manny's and it's not. And you're
Yeah.
like, wow, how do you get diacetyl and all these other compounds in this beer?
Why does this taste like yogurt?
Wow,
Oh my
this is
God.
awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so it's like, let's clean up the lines here around Tacoma and beyond. We're going to hopefully expand to Olympia pretty soon and get some people
Nice.
hired.
Oh,
So
Thank God.
yeah.
Dang.
Yep.
That's what's up.
Send your resumes to.
Yes.
the funkbusters253@gmail.com.
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
right. That's right.
Are you on the internets, the socials?
At the Funkbusters.
Okay.
Nice.
People like you said, this industry is like pretty romantic, and people I think romanticize about it a lot. But a lot of people ask for like foots in the door, and honestly, line cleaning is a great place to start. So if you're trying to get into beer in any kind of way, there are probably places that need additional line cleaners, and it's a great way to learn stuff. So like if you're listening to this and you're not in the industry and you've always thought about it, it's actually a great way to do it.
Yeah.
And
But,
if the faucet goes down, you could fix it.
Yeah, that's true. And then I won't have to.
Right.
I can leave my stupid draft kit at home and not bring it on sales calls. Yeah, man. So like when we started this, like Grit and Grain is the title, and you kind of mentioned it. Like it is like this industry is very romantic, but it takes a lot, and there's a lot of like, it takes grit, right? Like that's the whole thing, and obviously Tacoma's Grit City, and so we're not unfamiliar with all of that. But yeah, man, like the type of stuff that you guys have gone through, especially recently, like in this industry, and then to stay in this industry and now like run a successful business on a different side of this industry is awesome. And that's like the fucking grit that we're talking about. And so yeah, I'm glad you're here hanging out and
Thank
talking
you.
about it.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Have you ever seen any gritty ghosts?
Oh, yes. If you're referring to the actually, with line cleaning, yeah, there are some places I feel like are a little haunted. But I think you're talking about Pacific down at the building down there. Yeah. Throughout my years there, definitely felt like there was other presences around. I would always hear like empty kegs dragging across the floor, like that sound, and I'd be the only person in there. Steve, the owner, he said that he was cleaning the kettle out one time, and it was on. Like the kettle turned on. Like he was inside trying to clean it out, and somehow
Ooh, that's dangerous.
it had gotten turned on, and he was like, it's getting really hot in here. So he thinks it was a ghost. And I mean, the history of that building is pretty crazy. It was the police annex station. So it was
right.
And you can
bringing
get to the
in
jail. Is that pathway still there?
through the
right? To
alley.
old- yeah. Underneath.
There's a hollow sidewalk under there.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, so there's definitely some crazy history to the building. A lot of criminals coming through there and then getting jailed in the old City Hall right next door. So, it was weird. I didn't like being there by myself for sure, especially back in the grain area back there by the vaults. It was weird.
That's creepy.
That's why you need a brewery cat.
That's why you need a brewery cat.
Rats and ghosts.
I didn't know they did both.
Thank you.
That's the best case I've heard so far.
Yeah.
Cats fucking know about the ghosts.
I know.
I'll see Coraline.
Like Felix the cat.
Right.
It's,
Dude, the kettle turning on sounded like a Sean fuck up story for a second.
yeah.
Did.
I used to, my first brewing job at Mud Shark, we had the rake system in ours, rake arm, and I'd hop in the kettle and clean it out. And I did. I always imagined like someday someone just up there pushing buttons, and I always had my escape plan. It was probably not going to go good, but I was always ready at any second for the fucking rake arms to
Start.
start
Talking
going.
about the
and,
mash tun?
Yeah.
Like in the mash?
Yep.
Yeah.
And, I would probably have, I would say 6 seconds to make my athletic move to get the fuck out of there without being turned into something
Is that how you
juicy.
Is that how you also survived getting in a fermenter?
Yeah,
With
athletics.
yeah.
And prior planning. Well, not prior planning on that one.
Terrifying. When I heard
Yeah.
that
Dude,
story.
yeah.
Fuck
Can you
yes.
imagine that? Like
Terrifying.
all the air getting sucked out of
Yeah.
you. Like,
I mean, I've stuck my head just not thinking before when I first started. Scott's like, you don't want to do that.
Yeah. And you go,
it's
Dude,
it's
yeah.
you in the
Yep.
eyes
it's like
and
you got
every.
punched in the gut.
Yep. Oh, it is. Yep.
Yeah, you
All the
almost
things
died.
you're saying
You
are
almost
right.
died.
So nervous.
No, I know.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I
You
was
know,
there.
I was, 22 or 23, and I think, that's obviously the reason I'm alive.
What size tank was it?
25, 15-barrel system.
Yeah.
That's tall too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's parkour right there. It's not a straight. It's a
It's a run.
for
and
everyone.
jump.
It's a run and try to lunge.
It's a run and
It's
jump.
run and, yeah, it's fucking rad.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
Speaking of,
I was gonna say, it sounds like it's time to talk about fuck up stories.
Yeah.
after you.
Me first. So I actually had a hard time coming up with this, and I texted a few of my assistants and Steve. I was like, can you guys remember like anything just like major? Am I blocking out all these horrible fuck ups that I did in the breweries? And I do remember one. So we were messing with the mill, the grind, trying to get our efficiencies up. Well, it was we got it way too tight and basically mashed in a bunch of flour. Why we didn't catch it? I mean, it wasn't completely flour, but yeah, it was way too fine of a grist. So pulled over, just a bunch of crap into the kettle, and we ran off. And then burned it at the bottom of the kettle. And the beer never recovered. It was just it just tasted and smelled like a campfire. It was bad.
Yeah.
And then we tried to like over dry hop it, and it got worse. And we dumped it, and it was a sad day.
Thank God.
Like you're trying to fix it.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what? This is a hazy IPA now.
Yeah. And I've also turned the kettle on without any liquid in it. Like the way that brewery's set up, you can kind of easily hit it with the hose or something. Like there's not like a safety on it. But I smelled burning things, and that was not fun to clean out. And then to brew my next beer, crossing my fingers, like I hope there's nothing left in the kettle that's gonna transfer over to my beer. Like it was, yeah, it was stressful.
It doesn't take much either, like to just fuck up a whole beer. You
Yeah.
could have a couple of birdie flakes, and you're
Yeah.
dumping beer. Oof.
And then this is a story I couldn't get corroborated by anybody, but I swear it happened. Greer says it sounds familiar. I got finished knocking out after brewing, and I like changed the blow off hose. So as the beer is fermenting, the CO2 needs to come out somewhere. So I changed out the hose, and I must have turned the valve off to change the hose, close the valve, and never reopened it. So overnight, beer starts fermenting with closed tank.
Oh.
And in the morning, luckily the PRV was working, because sometimes those don't. They get all jammed up and you don't have a PRV that works, and like the tank could have exploded. Yep. But PRV was just going off, and luckily it was all good, but it could have been really bad.
Yeah, jeez.
It would have been really bad. So,
boy, do I have... I'm changing my fuck-up story. So here's the thing, though. It's not really a fuck-up story. It's something that happened. I was going to go with another Sean classic head trauma story that happened this last weekend, but we'll save that for later.
Sounds good.
Probably won't remember it. So at Mud Shark Brewing, every 6 cycles on our serving tanks, we would test our pressure release valves. And our main gas line we would use, and it was running it was about 120 pounds, 120 psi. Like we were filling tanks fast. And so the valve should have popped at like 40 psi. We were not open. Thank Jesus God, because I was pressure testing the PRV and multitasking, doing something else. And blew the fucking manway off the...
Oh.
So the manway is basically the door to the tank. And in this particular tank, our fermenters, the manway is on the top. But the serving tanks, it's right in the middle about, I don't know, average person, chest to neck level.
And you said it opened outward, right?
So, no, that's E9.
That was
garbage.
where it opened
This
outward.
is
Yeah.
actual proper, like... So the pressure, sealed the door closed against the tank, but it was so much pressure in the tank, the lid basically came through the fitting, came off of its arm, and launched across the fucking dining room.
never
where
to be
no
seen
one
again.
was sitting.
Dude,
oh,
yeah.
no. It was
yeah.
seen
Through the walls.
embedded into a fucking beam of wood at like fucking head level.
Jesus
And
Christ.
it was humming.
Oh.
And yeah, it was a fucking bomb went off. Like it was an explosion. Like Ron. and I
How
were
in your
there.
brain is this not a fuck up story?
Because it was the valve. The valve's supposed to fucking pop, man.
Okay.
Wait.
Why is that my fault?
Because you still kind of almost died here.
No.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Our dining room guests would have died. I was cool on this one.
This is so different.
Yeah.
I kind of have a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, seriously.
Why would you test? So you had 120 psi going into the tank that it's only supposed to do 40
So
psi.
our gas line, when we would move beer through, like, we had a main CO2 line, and there's
beer
multiple.
fast.
We moved beer fast, and we pressurized fast. We had a lot of fermenters up top, and we try to use gravity as much as possible. But yeah, our CO2 line was rad.
Beefy.
Yep, maybe 120, isn't it? It blew the fucking manway off there.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
insane.
It was.
That.
But yeah, we like, and again, like that was the whole point of the test. Like, you're supposed to pop fucking pressure release.
Dude.
It didn't work.
Nope.
They released the pressure.
Such a fuck up story.
Yeah,
Terrifying.
it was rad. It was terrifying as hell.
So terrifying. Yeah.
I mentioned it before. Like, our brewery was super exhibition. Like, couldn't really brew during the daytime because you could just reach out and touch the kettle. So,
Oh, jeez.
like everything was, kind of done after hours and in between. So, which I loved. But oh boy,
That's cooler than the one I was going to tell.
By all means.
I know.
Doug, we got time? Yeah. All right.
Mine was,
Fire away, buddy.
no, nobody almost died. Although, like, if it had kept going, I don't know. Who knows? But I was. This is like none of my fuck up stories are like as cool because like I've just always been on the sales side. Like I make beer at home, but when I fuck up at home, I just like make a mess in my garage, and it's not that bad. But like on the sales side, like fucking up looks super different. And so when I was at my last job, I was the sales rep for a big resort. And there was multiple properties and multiple accounts in this big resort, and they would buy a bunch of beer during a particular season. And the job as the rep is to like gather all of the like breweries in your book and bring all of those reps and do like a 10-minute like super fast-paced meeting and sampling with like the employees at the resort. And so they were trying to put their tap line up together for the whole season. And so it was the GM for the resort and then one of the owners. And then they had pulled out a couple of like kitchen people, and they were like, "Yeah, we just want their opinions too, because like these are the types of dudes who are like drinking the beer." And I was like, "All right, that kind of makes sense." And this was my first like meeting like this, but I'd been in the industry for a little while, and like I don't know, I feel like people in the industry could probably attest, but like we drink beer a little bit differently. Most of the time, we don't get as drunk as people like who are not in the industry, and that happens like pretty often. And like I've always experienced that, and so. And it's like a running joke is like, if you're in the industry, generally you can just drink more because that's part of our job and we drink a lot. And so on one side of the table is like myself, my DM, our director for on-premise, and then a couple of other like industry folks on this side. And then there's like the brewery rep. And then the other side is the resort team. And so the GM, the owner, and then a couple kitchen people. So we're going through and like, I think 9 suppliers in out of like the 15 that we brought to do these samples, each one bringing like 3 or 4 beers for everybody to try. Like this side of the table, the resort side of the table, aside from the GM, she's great and she kept it very professional. But the other 3 were just nonverbal. Like they were so torn up and like so sloppy, and we still had like probably another like 90 minutes to go in this meeting, and we were like all sitting there like, we don't know what to do now. We don't want to tell the dude that owns this like crazy place that he can't have any more beer because he's like too shitty. And then like his 2 kitchen employees were like almost falling out of their chairs, and like the GM, she's so great. She was just like face palm, like she's like sitting there like her hands on her face, and she's like, God damn it, like I just want to be done with this. And like we weren't the only distributor. There's 4 other distributors that service this place, and I don't know, man. I cannot imagine because we did stop it. We stopped serving the kitchen guys. The owner did hang, and then they brought up like one other bartender person who, you know, she started halfway through, so she was fine. But yeah, I've just never seen 2 or 3 drunker people at like an actual business meeting, and it was just the goofiest thing. And then it was like this, like we were all drinking the same amount of beer, and it was like, for whatever reason, the people on this side of the table, like all of the distributor reps and the supplier reps, were like totally fine because we just, I think, are used to it. And then yeah, just these fucking muggles on this side like ruin it for everybody.
You guys are just
so. It wasn't much of a fuck up, but it was like it was so weird. It was like the goofiest sales experience. But I left that company not long after that. So.
It's a fuck up story, just not on your part.
Yeah, they got fucked up. I didn't get fucked up.
You guys are just getting started.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man.
I know we're getting low on time, but there's a couple events around town I want to cover. Something's happening Saturday, Sean?
Yeah.
Oh, boy, howdy. It's been 3 years, but we're rolling IPA Fest. So if you're listening
Yes.
Friday, go to fucking bed, get ready, put your big kid pants on, because we're going to fucking throw down. I looked at last year, 2019's list. This one's incredible. And on a quick note, like, there's a lot of great beers, but the one I'm most excited about, Cloudburst redid their Cosmic Lust, which is basically original Space Dust.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, it's not 8%. The hops are like, I'm just, for anyone who loves Space Dust, like now, like you should taste it how it was intended to be.
Fun.
It's a good list, but that one I'm really fucking excited about. So
Cool.
It's going to be a good day.
yeah.
Also, on Monday, E9 will be the feature brewery at the 5-course Valhalla dinner series at the Skull Beer Hall in Ballard.
Yeah.
Ron's going to take us out in a second. I want to go to that beer dinner. Yeah, dude, Bethany, thanks so much for hanging out.
Thanks for
Seriously.
having me. This is fun.
When Sean brought you up, I was just like, oh my God, this is great. I can't wait. So yeah, and then thanks for telling the story of everything.
Yeah.
And a little side note, there's another place you work too that didn't get brought up.
Oh, Peaks.
Peaks and Pines.
Oh yeah, that's right. You work for that guy.
Oh my gosh.
Used to,
Lucky devil.
used to organize his cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While listening to funk.
Yeah.
All
story.
sorts of things, really.
All
Ron,
right.
you want to take us out?
All right, Grit and Grainers. Email us at cheers@gritandgrainpodcast.com with your comments, opinions, the good and the juicy and the funky, and we let the rest roll off like water from a freshly waxed Alfa Romero. We read and drink everything we receive, and we'll try to respond as quickly as can, if not online, then on air. You can subscribe to Grit and Grain on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. Stupid Dark Hollow. And please leave us a review. Also, check us out on Channel 253 and gritandgrainpodcast.com. Be sure to also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for recaps like that time we slipped and fell in the tub, all violent and dramatic, and bashed our entire body against the porcelain. And by some miracle, we did become one of those bizarre statistics that says man breaks his spine in 18 places and tragic tub debacle. And instead, we happened to land just perfect. Simply stood up, merely suffered a couple of good deep bruises, a terrific scar, and a little embarrassment. And we received a small, sharp feeling that the gods were looking out for us. And now we're paying attention to flow and breath and body, so we're better prepared for life's more unexpected bitch slaps. Just saying. If this podcast is not what you expected, please alter your expectations. It's perfectly acceptable to breathe deep the insides of new leather boots. No such thing as bad time to visit Tacoma. No such thing as too much barley wine. Woo! Tune in next Friday for more sweet chatter. Cheers.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Well done, Cap.
Made up for that week you were gone. Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us at Grit and Grain Podcast wherever you get your social media and catch new episodes every Friday. Cheers.
Grit and Grain is part of the Channel 253 podcast network. Check out our other shows: Nerd Farmer, Interchangeable White Ladies, Move to Tacoma, Crossing Division, Citizen Tacoma, What Say You, We Are Tacoma, Flounders B Team, and Taco Man.
This is Channel 253.